But my question in this video is that, can Kenya really save the life of Nduta? Vietnam has strict drug laws, very strict. Even Vietnam and Kenya does not have any prison transfer treaty. They don't have. We're going to review certain cases that tells us that it's going to be impossible or nearly impossible for Kenya to save the life of Margaret Nduta. Kenya, this is the right time for your authorities to make the big move.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favour and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
Yesterday was a miraculous day for Kenya as Vietnam stayed the execution of Margaret Nduta following the Foreign Affairs Secretary Korea Single's message to the Vietnamese embassy. They've been able to stay the execution. If they can, then it means they need to make the big push now. They need to strategic now that there is a stay for her to stay for some time. In this video, I'm going to give you some people who were convicted on criminal charges, had a stay, but eventually they were executed. I'm going to tell you all of that in this video. Now, here are reasons why the Kenyan government will find it very difficult to save the life of Margaret Nduta. Number one, Kenya does not have an embassy in Vietnam. What does that mean? That means that in any negotiation, the president will have to make a straight phone call to the president through their embassy in Bangkok, Thailand. That is where Kenya have their embassy. Now, Kenya does not have any diplomatic mission in Vietnam, which means that there is no direct channel to negotiate the case. Now, the closest accredited Kenyan embassy is in Bangkok, Thailand, which is going to make communication very slow and complex. And that's why I say that it's a big news that yesterday they were able to get a good news. Now, the second thing is that Vietnam has strict drug laws, very strict. Even their own citizens, when you go against these laws, they do not temper justice with mercy. They impose heavy penalties for such drug-related crimes. And any attempt by Kenya to intervene could also prompt Vietnam to demand similar leniency for their citizens caught in Kenya. But that will be in real situations. Vietnam, anyway, but that's it. Now, let's also see that the other one thing is that Vietnam and Kenya does not have any prison transfer treaty. They don't have any prison transfer treaty where an agreement that allows Vietnam to transfer prisoners to Kenya, or Kenya to transfer Vietnamese who misbehaved to Vietnam. And so without that legal framework, bringing Nduta back is highly impossible. And that is one of the reasons why the Vietnamese government will find it very difficult to save the life of Nduta. Now, don't forget that in Nduta's time passed on the 12th of March. She was, scheduled to be executed on the 12th of March, and then it was moved to 16th, which was on Sunday. But due to the public outcry, I'm going to give you these revelations of people who were similarly also sentenced to death. They got a stay, but eventually they were executed. So number one is Lee Van Man. Now, Lee Van Man in 2005 was accused of robbery in Vietnam. He was accused of robbery, rape, and the murder of a 13-year-old girl. He was sentenced to death in 2008. Now, despite allegations that his confession was obtained under torture and international appeals for clemency, Man was executed on September 22nd, 2020. He was finally executed. Now, there were a lot of international bodies that wrote to Vietnam, a lot of publications that came. For instance, there's this publication. It said that Vietnam court delays execution of Man following the family appeal. This man is a Vietnamese. The family appealed. The family lawyer appealed. But eventually, and it rules that Euronews says that Man executed in Vietnam despite appeals from Europe and Canada. And South China Morning Post wrote that Vietnam executes Man despite diplomatic pleas for mercy. Sickening. amnesty says. So in this particular case, now this was how the story was uncovered. It says that the death certificate stated that Le Van Man, born in 1982, nationality Vietnamese, died at 8:45 a.m. on September 22nd, 2023 at execution house of Hoa Binh Provincial Police. His body was buried at Cho Nhang Cemetery. The lawyer said, citing officials' document sent to Man's family. So this was a Vietnamese citizen who was accused of rape and murder, several attempts. The confession was made on torture, yet he was still executed. Now another one, this is also a case of Ho Du Hai. Now Ho Du Hai is also a Vietnamese, was also sentenced to death in December 2008 for robbery and murder. Now Ho Du Hai's case drew significant attention to serious procedural errors during his trial. In 2025, the Committee on Judicial Affairs of the National Assembly urged a review of his case. Despite these concerns, international organizations airing their views, talking about it, there were a push for his execution in 2017. So his sentence was halted from 2008 to 2017. Now, Lee Van Ma's sentence was also from 2005, but he was finally executed in 2008. So it tells you, now these are the little on the internet just to. Now there is another story of a Vietnamese billionaire who has also been involved or also been sentenced to criminal charges. Now, she was engaged in a 44 billion fraud. The name is Chon My Lan. Now, Chon My Lan also has gone several appeals as it stands now, but then the sentence still stays. Now, there's one thing about Vietnam that you need to know. Vietnam has a harsh stance on drug-related offenses and criminal offenses, murder, pornography. They have a harsh stance. And so, if you are sentenced, it's very difficult to overturn that verdict. Now, this is the right time for Envoy to make a move. They don't have to just stay in. I can see they are celebrating the victory. Big ups to the member of parliament, the lady who raises on the floor, and then the parliament for the fast move. However, you have to be very smart. This is the time to move from Kenya to Vietnam. Come and sit down with them and find the best way possible to save the life of Margaret Nduta. Otherwise, even though she has a stay now, can't tell the future, because there are so many people who had a death sentence who they couldn't overturn. They are just going to look at the case by case study and see if she committed the act. And if she did it, what can be done about it? So, Kenya, this is the right time for your authorities to make the big move. You have to push them. You have to push them now. Don't relax. Oh, she's had to stay, so no, don't stop enjoying and settle the case once and for all. My name is Kenyan. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.